So anyway, this is what Jesus said in Matthew 24, verses 15 to 18. He says, when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel, the prophet, stand in the holy place. And then the Lord says, whoso readeth, let him understand. I'll get back to that in a minute. Then he says, then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him, now check out what he says next. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. Now, I won't get into defining all the prophetic symbols and dates that match all this with historic record, but if you're interested, because otherwise this will have to go on for an hour or so just for me to define everything that he's saying here using the Bible's definition of the symbols. I don't give my own personal opinion of any Bible prophecy because I've done the study many years ago in the book of Revelation. Every single solitary symbol in the book of Revelation and Daniel are, as well as all the other books, are defined by all 66 books of the Bible. So when somebody comes up to you and tells you oil means this or wine means that, you know in your Bible that oil means Holy Spirit and wine means doctrine. Now the doctrine could be good or bad. That's why Jesus had new wine at that the wedding at Cana, his first miracle. Because new wine is unfermented, and it was new to them, even though it was already written in the Bible, but they forgot it, and so to them it was new. But the last part of this passage about not grabbing your belongings before leaving danger was, of course, stated by Christ so as to grant the Christians back then the chance to, show their faith in Him, to care for them when they're on the run, just as He did for those that escaped Egypt and wandered the desert for 40 years, if you remember, as well as for us in the last days, wherein He promised through His prophet in Isaiah 33:16, that when speaking of us, He said, He shall dwell on high, His place of defense shall be the munitions of rocks, bread shall be given Him, His waters shall be short. And so it would be good for us to pray for the many preppers of today that may have issue with this, with trusting the Lord, that, when that day finally comes when you can't buy and sell anything anyway. And so, but my point here is this, that since Jesus recommended the book of Daniel to the believers, as well as the students of prophecy, would it not be wise of us to investigate this book in the last days? I mean, the fact is, had all the people, and not just the Christians of 70 AD, if all the people had done as Jesus suggested when it comes to Bible study, we would not have seen as many people killed in that terrible siege of Titus when he came against the city of Jerusalem, exactly as Jesus prophesied would happen 40 years prior, because we know the abomination of desolation means Rome. Okay, I just got a text. Let me just make sure it ain't an issue here. Rome. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me just tell him I'm in a stream. Somebody wants 10 minutes of my time, and I can't do it right now. He actually said 10 minutes. All right. There it goes. All right. But anyway, like I was saying, okay, he's done. All right, so we would not have seen, like when Titus surrounded the city. I mean, Cestius came first. I mean, like the non-believing Jews in Jerusalem back in 70 AD, just like them, most people today just, they refuse to research the prophetic facts of the Word of God. That's why most people don't even see what's happening right now with this COVID-19 thing. Most people don't see it. The overwhelming majority of the 8 billion people out there just don't see what we see. And that's again why Jesus said, whoso readeth, let him understand, when he was quoting Daniel. The non-believers in Jerusalem ignored the trumpet blast made so clear by Jesus in Matthew 24, as well as just studying some of the prophetic symbolism of Daniel. Because like so many people today, they did not see him as Messiah. Like today, most people don't think they need a Savior. However, the obedient Christians in Jerusalem at that time understood plainly what Jesus was warning them about when they saw the abomination of the desolation, which, again, the prophecy, students of prophecy know that Even today, we know that back then that was pagan Rome surrounding the city in their day, and papal Rome is the one that's doing it today. I mean, the Christians did as Jesus suggested, and they left the city. However, history records, and I'm going to read something from Eusebius's Church History, Book 3, Chapter 5. This is an actual, I'll put this in the text chat of the stream for you there too. Because I can't really edit these videos and then put them back on YouTube, because that wouldn't make any sense. I'll have two videos in the same video. For some reason, it's not going in. It's not letting me, maybe it's too big. Oh, yeah, it's way too big. All right, so I'll leave out the source. Oh, well, here, I'll just put in the source, because you all know what I read. Oh, no, I'm going to read this. I didn't read it yet, but there's the source. This is from Eusebius's Church History, Book 3, Chapter 5. It says, in AD 66, when Cestius came against the city, but unaccountably withdrew. To this day, they don't know why, but as Christians, we kind of figure we know why. And the Christians discerned in this the sign foretold by Christ, which is, of course, what I just read earlier from Matthew 24. When you see the abomination of desolation, because they studied their Bibles back then. They knew that meant pagan Rome. When the Romans surround their city, the Christians need to leave. So they knew somehow, some way, the Lord's going to get them a way of escape. And he did. Cestius unaccountably withdrew, right? And so the Christians, like it says here in the quote, the Christians discerned in this the sign foretold by Christ and fled, while 1,100,000 Jews are said to have been killed in the terrible siege of AD 70. Over 1 million men, women, and children died unnecessarily. They all could have escaped death if they just believed that what Jesus prophesied 40 years prior. They only had one prophecy to believe. That was it. I mean, think of all the prophetic fulfillments we've seen in our day. I mean, just the last 10 years alone. Are you kidding me? I mean, so many prophecies have been fulfilled that even the scoffer has got to be feeling a little bit uneasy right now. As a matter of fact, some people that used to get all up in my face about the truth we share are contacting now because they're concerned. It's just like what happened with the Twin Towers. They contacted. But, a few months later, it's like, oh, well, everything's back to normal. Well, the same thing's about to happen now. But it ain't going to last as long as it did for September 11th. We don't have that much time left. And no, I'm not setting any dates. When you look around and you see all this talk about the COVID-19, never before in the history of mankind have we seen so many movements of what we know to be corrupt government officials, as well as the media, in so many different nations, and they're all joining hands in unison, like they're all on the same page. And I made videos about this years ago. Now do you see why the Vatican pushed their ecumenical demands that they started talking about in the Vatican II Council in the 1960s? They demanded all the political leaders, as well as all the church leaders and business leaders, meet with them in the Vatican. And again, we've got pictures, everything from the Pope standing in front of the United Nations, Pope standing in front of Congress, the Pope standing in front of hundreds and hundreds of politicians, which included USA and everybody else, as well as CEOs. He had meetings with the CEOs and everything. And then the church thing, he just keeps going from church to church all over the planet. And so, yeah, this is never before in the history of mankind have we ever seen anything like this. And this was all prophesied. It's all plain as day right now. And so, do you see the prophetic echo, though? See, this is my point for sharing this tonight. And this is going to be in my blog, by the way, my Wednesday blog. Just under 2,000 years ago, I think it was like 1954 or something, like 1,954 years ago, something like that. I can't remember exactly. I haven't done the math, but it's just under 2,000 years ago. The people of God saw the powers that be lock down their city wherein no one could leave their homes. But as history records, Cestius, like I said earlier, for an unknown reason, he backed off and ended the lockdown. But just 4 short years later, Titus came back to not only surround the city again, he stepped in the city and killed everyone in it. To the point, the prophecy that Jesus also said in regards not one stone will be left upon another, they took the temple apart brick by brick because it was inlaid with gold. And so they wanted their booty. And so they took, they spoiled the place, and they just took the temple down. And they took all the stones that had the inlaid gold in them. Since Satan likes to repeat his attacks when he sees how well they work, this is why you see people believing in 1,000 years of peace on earth right now, because that's the same thing they believed 2,000 years ago. They thought when the Messiah would come, there'd be all this peace, he'd take over the Roman government, and the Jews would rule. Christians believe the same thing now. Exact same lie they're falling for. There's not going to be 1,000 years of peace. Well, there is, because Satan, he takes the truth, but then he mixes a lie in with it. There is going to be peace on earth for 1,000 years, yeah, because everybody's dead. And the true name of Satan, which is Beelzebub, which in English means God of the dung, the prophecy says the bodies are laid all over the planet like dung upon the earth for those 1,000 years. So that's why it's peaceful, because the people that make war, they're dead. Well, actually, all the plagues took them out, but the seventh plague finished the job, because all the plagues, like if the person was still alive in plague 7, he still had the boils from plague 1. And because there's all sorts of, I got a page on the website all about the plagues if you want to go into it. But getting back, since Satan likes to repeat his attacks because he knows how well they always work upon mankind, because he studies mankind, he's been doing this 6,000 years now. The prophetic echo for us today is that the siege of papal Rome. It was pagan Rome back then. Now it's papal Rome, who we all know controls all the governments of today. I got the videos and I got the pictures to prove it. I mean, how about the years even before they had their little mortal wound in 1798, when kings had to bow down and kiss their feet? And the one king, we refused, and he had to stand outside in the snow for like 4 days before he would bow to the Pope. And he finally did it because he understood the power behind that throne. Like today, who can make war with the beast, right? It says that in Revelation. Why? Well, who's the beast's main ally, if you will? United States of America, the second beast. Gives power on to the first. And so, yeah, this is no one can make war. So the siege in the cities wherein the people were unable to go to work, and some were even unable to leave their homes in some of the states of the U.S., as well as other countries. All of this was done to make sure they could lock down every individual now, so that later when the powers that be return to lock down things to enforce the mark of the beast in the coming years, it'll be easily done. Just like, Cestius set stuff up for Titus. I mean, back then, when Titus returned with the band of Roman killers, they killed all the non-believing Jews who ignored the prophecy of Christ. Soon, the powers that be will seek to kill all the obedient Christians as well. When they lift this COVID-19 pandemic, the people of God today can put their faith in Christ, just as the Christians of 2,000 years ago did. Not only is it wise to get out of the cities now, as you have been warned to do so for many years now by my ministry and other ministries that agree with us, even before you leave the city, you can get out of the world, if you will, out of the worldliness of society right now by studying your Bibles every day so as to clearly hear the Lord's voice on what to watch for. I mean, hearing his voice will also make it easy to see which doors he is opening and which doors he's closing. All of us need that kind of perfect discernment so as to not only protect ourselves, but to help others, our families, and anybody else that the Lord sends our way who may not see as well as we do. And no, I'm not setting dates here about the mark of the beast being enforced in 4 years because Titus came back after 4 years. No. I'm not saying that in 4 years after the COVID-19 pandemic, stops and gave them all the means to set everything in place so as to easily demand every citizen complies when they return. Yeah, they're going to return. But if you notice, at present, it appears they are more concerned with the big cities. This is why there are so many videos showing miles of train cars loaded with tanks and military equipment being rolled out headed to the big cities. I did a video on that as well. After all, if they try to lock everything down now for months, many nations, including the USA, are just going to collapse economically. And so they may have to repeat this later, wherein they will use a new and improved pandemic to make sure the smaller cities comply as well. And once they have all their ducks in a row, whether or not they do a second thing with the smaller cities, I don't know. I don't care. My concern is for when they have their ducks in a row and we have the opportunity to go forth with the refreshing of the latter rain and go forth in the loud cry and warn the people. We got to be prepared just like they got to be prepared to hear it. And so when they have all their ducks in a row, they will have their final hyped up global lockdown. But now it'll be all about climate change. Just take COVID-19 and replace it with the words climate change. Because all the disasters and all the end time signs that you see right now, the Pope keeps saying it's global warming, which is a bold-faced lie. It's actually global cooling, but it doesn't matter. All the disasters, all the animals, the birds, the insects, the fish that are dying, it was prophesied in the book of Hosea chapter 4. Right before Jesus gets here, all that stuff was supposed to happen. But to keep the people in the dark, they're saying peace and safety. It just means we got to stop driving our cars. Even though the CO2 levels of today are the exact same as they were in 1910 before cars started choking the atmosphere. Think about this. A creator God made this planet. He knows how to make it recycle. Yourself, your own body recycles its own flesh as you walk through the day. We're drinking the same water Adam and Eve drank. How's that for recycling? It's not about climate change, even though the climate is changing. It's not about all the cars polluting everything, even though they are. It's about the fact that these signs are saying Jesus Christ is coming back soon, but Satan doesn't want people to know that, and so he says it's climate change, so as to get everybody on the same page. And the only way to get it to work right is to come up with a pandemic so as to make everybody in the world think that we all got to get together. Like Reagan said, if there was an alien attacker or whatever like that, we would all work together. We would stop doing wars. I got the actual audio and video of him saying that back when he was alive. That's what they're doing. They invented a makeshift enemy. I'm not saying COVID-19 doesn't exist. People do get sick of this and die, yeah, but nowhere near the numbers that you would of a regular flu. Right now, the regular flu is over 24,000 dead in just the USA. In 2018, over 80,000 people in just the USA died of the regular flu. So, the video's lagging again. Well, leave it up to YouTube to do that. Sorry about that. There's nothing I can do. I don't know what else to do. That's why I might not even buy this. It could be my software, too, that I'm using. But, and so again, I'm not setting dates. They're going to return. They're focusing on the big cities now. And once they have their ducks in a row, everything's going to be about climate change. That is a prophetic fact. I got a page on the website all about it, quite a few videos as well. So no man knows the day or the hour of any prophecy. We know what's coming next. Yeah, we know. But setting dates, no. Only false prophets do that. And they're in every church now, including the SDA church. Remember David Gates? So, but just as Cestius locked down the city so that when Titus returned 4 years later, to make it much easier for him to take the city, the Vatican-controlled governments of every nation are doing the exact same thing Cestius did, so that when the Roman echo of Titus and his killers step up to enforce the mark, they will have an easy way of it, just as the Christian prophecy said they would. Most people will forget about the tanks. And they'll be totally used to the new laws removing everything from free speech to the use of cash when that day comes. I mean, look at everybody's used to the ATM. What is it? The what is that thing in the airports? Before the Twin Towers fell, the American government wanted to put guns in the airplanes and in the airports. But the American people said no. Okay, so they threw a couple of planes into the buildings, and now everybody's begging them to put guns in the airports and on the airplanes. Well, they're doing the same thing now. And so if you're a student of prophecy, you know what you're looking at right now. Or the TSA, that is. Yeah, that's what it was. We all know how they emptied the streets and even jailed and fined some people for refusing to comply so as to make sure no one saw what the government was doing in their neighborhoods, and especially around the schools. Can you believe this? Pastor Craig put out a video the day before yesterday, I think, or even yesterday. And the intro of the video is a guy talking to the cops, and they're in their plain clothes, but they're driving in their own police units, and they're protecting some people that are putting 5G antennas around schools. And when the guy comes up and asks them what they're doing, they refuse to answer his questions. That was boldly obvious. I mean, that was just boldly obvious what they're doing there. And so I'm going to be linking that out in the blog entry, of course. I've already put it on the site in the regular areas, but this new blog entry, I'll put it in there on Wednesday. But when they have everything in place, like the cashless society, a changed constitution, because that was prophesied, as well as a locked down removal of free speech and a socialist format in society here in America, as well as globally, the exact same global hype that you saw with with COVID-19, that same global hype is going to return that we saw for the last few weeks. But this time, it's going to be all about climate change, and it's going to have demonic power behind it. And with that hype will also be a demand for the religious laws that are already they're talking about. I mean, Trump's got 700 pastors praying with him on a conference call in the White House. Are you kidding? And they're putting this all over, and everybody's talking about, it was ABC or an NBC, one of those fake news networks had T.D. Jakes pray on camera. They're like we've been saying for decades, religious laws are coming. Why? Well, every time you see the mark of the beast in prophecy, the word worship is right there with it. And so we already know what the mark is, but most people don't. So we got a lot of work to do. We got we got to get out there. And so there'll be a demand of religious laws being enforced to make sure everybody keeps Sunday holy to stop the disasters all over the world. They won't tell you the disasters mean Jesus is coming. They'll tell you the disasters mean that the end of, that we got to clean up our act, otherwise the planet's going to die and we're all going to die with it. And then the Pope will come forward with his fake Jesus, his Catholic version of Jesus, which is just Caesar Borgia, an illegitimate son of one adulterous Pope. And that's actually who he is. Just look him up, Caesar Borgia. He's a pretty Jesus. The real Jesus, he was not comely. It says right in the prophecy. He didn't want anybody to be attracted to his looks. He wanted everybody to be attracted to his truth. So he made it a point to make himself look a certain way. I mean, come on, he's creator. He knows what he's doing. He knows how people are moved by, I look what happened with King Saul. Big, broad shoulders, big dude. Everything was great, but boy, that didn't work out. So they will claim that the only way to make God forgive us so as to stop all these disasters and so that he'll heal our land as he promised in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, where you keep his law and he'll heal your land. They'll say, yeah, if we do this, he'll heal the land and stop the disasters, right? Problem is, the Sabbath that they demand you keep is not the Sabbath of the Creator, wherein the seal of the Creator is. They won't tell you about that one. They'll say to keep the Roman Catholic Sabbath of Sunday. I'll give you $10,000 cash if it'll move you to open your Bible if you can show me one Bible verse from Genesis to Revelation that literally says the Christian God changed the Sabbath from the seventh day of the week to the first day of the week. It was never called a Jewish Sabbath either. In fact, angels kept it before mankind was created, and Adam and Eve kept it before they even had kids, before they even left Eden. But they don't tell you this stuff. They started calling it a Jewish Sabbath in 321 AD so as to start the first Sunday laws on March 7th, 321 AD, just as the prophecy said. And so there's another lie right there that shows Rome has been lying, saying that their church is 2,000 years old. No. It actually started in 538 AD, makes it even worse. But 321 AD, the Bishop of Rome had some control over Constantine, got him to agree to go ahead and start keeping Sunday holy because that's what the pagans did. They worshiped their sun god on Sunday. Their moon god on Moon Day, or Monday, they call it now, or Thor on Thor's Day, or they would worship Woden on Woden's Day, which we call Wednesday, and so on and so forth. I mean, the whole week is designed for, or like Saturday is Saturn Day, the god of Saturn. It's amazing how most people don't know any of this because their preachers are wolves. They don't tell them this stuff. And so we know exactly how they're going to do it when it comes to enforcing the mark. They may have to even repeat this if they're worried about the small towns. That's why I threw that in there, just in case. So it doesn't really matter if they repeat it. We know when the final shoe drops, they're going to use the exact same thing that they've used. Those of us that remember, we know because we've been studying prophecy for decades, some of us. And so we know why the tanks are there. They're not going to use them now. They've just got them in place, okay? So we know exactly how they're going to do it, just as the Christians in 66 AD knew how they were going to do it before Cestius came, because Jesus told them how it was going to go down 40 years prior. And now, we don't just have one prophecy. We got hundreds of them. Read my book, free book, People Get Ready. Or look at the upgraded version of it on my website called We Are Very Near the End, where I updated it. Check out what's happening at the Orion Nebula, if that will... It's amazing what's happening. I mean, there's even a cloud coming out of the nebula. And Betelgeuse is half its brightness. Signs in the heavens. It's all there. It's just amazing what's happening. So, again, we know exactly how it's all going to go down. We are now witnessing the final prophecies with our very own eyes. We're seeing this. I mean, some of us that study the prophecies have been seeing this for decades, but some of us our eyes are being opened just in what's been happening in the last few weeks. Some of us since September 11th. If we refuse to confess, repent, and revive our faith in the Creator God, we're going to die when the abomination of desolation surrounds the entire world exactly as prophecy said. There's no getting around it. Christian prophecy is that accurate. Now, I want to share some of the articles that I put. Let me get to the Edge browser here, a different browser. Let's see. So I got to shut this off, and then turn that on. Okay. And this I never made a video about this. I never did a blog entry on this here. Well, let me pop the blog out. Let me just go to a new tab and pull it out like that. All right. So this is easier because when I click links, they'll open up directly, rather than having to right-click them or anything. But because on my site, the blog is inside a frame. You see how it floats in there? Well, that's why if you click a video sometimes, if I forget it to tell it to go new window, it'll say blocked because, places like YouTube don't like it when their videos are being played behind a frame because of security reasons or whatever. But I do use security now. I don't use HTTP anymore. I use HTTPS, but still. I don't even sell anything on my website, so they don't have to worry about me. But here, I did a newsletter about this back in I think it's 2009. Let me just look here. So let me go to newsletters. I think it was the old format, or was it the new format? I don't know. See, there's a search engine I built into the server here. Let me say. Let me just put in quotations, moral authority, and then close it off and see government attacking Sabbath. Okay, I got the Jesuit. Oh, here it is, WP posts. It could be in here. Let me pop it out to a new page. I want to see what the date is on it. Moral authority. No, I'm going to have F3 this page, but in moral and authority. Okay, where's this popping up? Oh, 11 times. Let me try to find... Okay, here it is. September 17, 2009. I mean, they started this talking points back then, and this is how it works with Rome. But now we're so close to the end, this stuff's going to speed up a lot faster. Because now with the internet and the satellites and everything like that, See, but back in 2009, I think we had internet back then, obviously, because I posted it on the internet. But now... the talking points have been embraced, and the Vatican has got everything it needs to, go ahead and proclaim the Pope the world's moral leader. And they just put out another article, a video, in fact. Let me see if I can find the actual. I think this is the video here. Yeah, let me stop it. It's a 5-minute video. Why is Pope Francis a moral authority? March 31st, they put this out. So they're pushing it. He already is the leader of the One World Church and the Roman International Criminal Court System. All right? And I've got newsletters all about that. If you just go here, go to Truth Provided Newsletters, go to the old format. And see One World Court System in Rome right there. Global Universal Power of the Pope. United States Church of America, that's already here now. The 501c3 since I didn't update this one. I should have. But December 2nd, 2017, Pope made it law with the 501c3. So we now have a United States Church of America. But they don't say it out publicly. It's on paper, but they don't publicly say it. There's your One World Church, and then there's One World Government. I mean, I actually dedicated a page to the One World Government. I changed the newsletter into an actual page. If you go to the prophecy section, go down to soon fulfilled, and go down to New World Order. Look at this paint. Look at this artist's depiction of Ratzinger. This is Benedict XVI, okay? He was God's Rottweiler, John Paul II called him. And he was the Nazi gunner on the roof before, Hitler failed, and then these guys went into the Vatican rat line, and then the Vatican made them into priests, and then him and John Paul II became popes, right? Because John Paul II's family sold the gas that killed the Jews. I mean, they made the gas that killed the Jews, I'm sorry. John Paul II sold it. He was their salesman. And I got proof of that. If you just go to the warning, Rome, RCC exposed, go to the Popes of Rome, scroll down to John Paul II, and I think it's red. I got it in red. Right there, yeah. The Pope's past employment, click that. And he sold the Zyklon B that killed the Jews. And so it's a lot worse than you think in this church. But let me get back to this New World Order thing. Count the cane heads. That's no mistake. The prophecy says there's going to be 10 toes or 10 nations in the end, or 10 Herods. I actually did a newsletter on that years ago where I actually found the face of Herod, and I just stacked his head up 10 times in the graphic, like standing next to a pope. But yeah, the one world government's already here. It's on paper. The Club of Rome, it was called in 1968. But let me get back to the, where's the blog? Here it is. And so if you get a chance, if you want to see all this, I went into a little bit of detail, and this is from my old blog, and the site got hacked years ago, and so all these links are broken. And so I updated it recently. So I updated this morning. These are all the new articles for today. These are all the new articles that were on there for Friday, and these are all the articles that I put on there when I put the blog up. And so I only updated the articles 3 times on this one. I usually try to do 1 or maybe 2 blog entries a week, but this one here, I got stuff in here. The signs of the times, that could be just about anything. What's going on out there in the world, everything from, let's see, there were some religious things in here. MSNBC blames Christians for coronavirus. More people are dead because of religious nationalism. And in the climate change agenda, they're going to blame the Sabbath-keeping Christians for everybody having the boils. That's what the prophecy says. They're going to blame us because we refuse to keep Sunday holy. Because we know what it means. There isn't a Bible verse to back it up. Like I said, I'd give you 10 grand if you could find it. I actually have a page on the site where you could fill out a form and try to get the 10 grand. One guy actually did it he tried so well. I made a page all about it because he put in like 15 different twisted Bible verses. If you just put them back, that's why I did a video years ago about it. Let's see if I go to here, YouTube. Let me just, it's taking a while to load in. So I'm not going to do it. It's going to cause wait, you let me in there now. All right. Let me just see Sabbath. Let's see if it's in here. Is Sunday the Sabbath? Here it is, part 1. This is back when YouTube started. Look at that, 11 years ago. And so what I did was, and there's an actual script of this on the website, is I showed every Bible verse that they've ever given to, here, let me get back to the site, ever given to say that Sunday is the Sabbath. You can put, a babe in Christ can do this. You could put it back in context. Let me see, is Sunday the Sabbath? Here's the page. Okay, and here's the videos. Okay, all the videos there. $5,000 for one verse. It used to be $10,000, and then I lowered it to $5,000. But here, here's all the claims. I got 7, I think, out of that one guy, and the other guy did. That was right. It wasn't 15. It was something else. And then the $10,000 challenge. And I also know of a preacher downstate Illinois that's offering $1 million cash. But I won't do that because I don't have $1 million. Not that I would have to pay it, because it's kind of like a trick question, because there is no such Bible verse that says God changed the Sabbath. Not one. In fact, go to Revelation 22:14, and you'll see the only way you can get into the city of heaven is to obey the commandments. Seriously. That's the law of the land. I mean, if you're a criminal, can you get in a city that you break their laws? No, they throw you behind bars. Same thing with heaven. And so, but let me get back to these. They were blaming the Christians thing. See, they're going to do the same thing with us with the. So the MSNBC blames the Christians. This one guy says, Mike Lindell, the Mr. Pillow guy, greatest revival in history. No such prophecy. It's going to be a fake faith, yeah, but it's not the real revival. And then here's where Rome takes advantage of the hype, the coronavirus hype. This section here. Let me just read the headlines. This is not the time to go to the grocery store, so they're trying to empty your shelves in your home. Coronavirus jailbreak again. It's just like every time I put up the blog, there's one governor letting a bunch of criminals out of jail because they're worried about them No, they're trying to get anarchy in the streets is what it looks like. A sheriff, and I knew this was going to happen. I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Eventually, a sheriff's going to step up and says, nope, ain't doing it. He says, no, we're not going to be a police state. Sheriffs can actually do that against a governor and say, no, we're not doing it. Remember the guy in Arizona? So, but anyway, new Cuomo executive order will have military take ventilators from hospitals, rural hospitals, like in my neck of the woods, and bring them to New York City. And then it says here the U.S. military is preparing for the worst contagion scenarios, but it's a secret. Well, what's the secret? Well, it's martial law. They're just setting it up for martial law because you can't enforce the mark of the beast without it. And then when men and women can't be outside together, and what was this other one? And even if you test, here, check this one out. Even if you test negative, check this article out. Let me see if I can get it here. I'll just open it up in a new tab, and man, I better close some of these here tabs. Okay, so check out the headline. Even if you test negative for COVID-19, assume you have it. That makes their job easier of, pushing out more fear. And we know, remember that final prophecy about the men's hearts failing them for fear, for those things that are coming on the earth? Yeah, that's part of it. That's how they're doing it. And then let's see if there's another one. Even if you test, okay. Oh, here's the 5G again. I don't often get a chance to get these in there because I don't go looking for this stuff. I do my morning updates. I look at specific news sources that I trust. And brothers and sisters in the faith send me some whoppers every now and then, and usually daily. I get emails from people with amazing articles, and then I put them in here. And so this morning, someone gave me something about video, like 2020 Great and Terrible. Although this is Craig's video, okay, about the this guy walks up to the cops and tells them, "What are you doing here?" They were putting up 5G antennas all around their schools, their children's school. And there was a school, I think it was in Tennessee or Kentucky, where they actually got them to take the antennas down because they showed how a crazy amount of the kids got cancer. But these people, these cops, they don't care. It's another prophecy being fulfilled. Which one? With the love of many shall wax cold. It's amazing. There's mountains of prophecy. Okay, here, 5G and the coronavirus connection. That's an old one. I've seen it, but I don't know if I put it on here, so I did this morning. That's a good one. COVID-19 and fake news, fact-checking the fact-checkers. Let me see if I can't get to it. It's on YouTube. Okay. Oh, isn't that interesting? Now, who'd have thought that would have happened, right? They violated community guidelines on YouTube. Okay, well, we know what that means. But I'm leaving it there just so people can see what they did. So I'm going to leave that link up. I'm not going to pull it. So let's see here. Coronavirus hype exposed. I love this section because every time I put up a blog entry, somebody sends me something. And this is the NHS auxiliary nurse quits after being ordered not to wear a mask. Hey, I thought it was supposed to be such a big problem. You got to have your masks on. But the doctor says, no, don't bother. All the hospitals are in on it. One of my daughters works in a hospital. Dad, there's nobody here. We don't know anybody that's sick. But there's a COVID-19 floor in the hospital. Have you gone up there? No, they won't let me. Why? Because there's nobody up there. We got a sister in the faith. I'm not going to say what state. She's been a nurse for many years. She did go up there. And there was nobody up there. Like that video I put up last week where they were showing, the media was saying this hospital, the waiting room is packed, standing room only, and there's a line outside the building. And they did it like 4 or 5 different hospitals, right, all around the country. What they failed to realize is there's people like you and me out there with cell phones. And so these people went up there with their cell phones and took videotape of the empty waiting rooms and no lines out front of the schools, of the hospitals. And one of the women that said on camera that this was all a big disaster, one of the leaders in the hospital, she happened to be outside, and he ran up to her and started asking her questions. Says, "Look, I have you on camera saying these things. You were right there on the news, and how come it's all empty?" She lunged at him to try to get his camera. So they're all in on it. This is why I got a page on the website called, Wait, let me get to the website now. If you go to warning, AMA insanity. And it's spreading to all nations. That's why I updated it recently. But this page here, I just updated it today. You got also Obama scare. Well, I just call it Obamacare, but hundreds of articles here. I think it's over 850 now. Yeah, 860 something now. But yeah, it's crazy with the things. Now, I'm not saying all the doctors are bad. I mean, the doctors that do the surgery and they could like attach a limb back, these guys are amazing. They're blessed and all this other stuff. But these guys with the internal medicine and they're giving you psychotropic drugs because you got a sniffle. Nah, that's just deadly. And there's a lot of stuff in here where I cover all that in all these articles. And I'm not kidding you. There's over almost 1,000. All right. And so let me get back to here. And I'm going to be doing this probably again on Wednesday or Thursday this week, depending upon the blog, what I put up of how much. Well, I'm always going to have a ton of stuff on the blog. And the blog, just so you know, is nicholaspogm.blog. You know, it's just NICHOLASPOG, POGM for Presence of God Ministry, .blog. And, okay, let me see. Oh, here's another one out of the coronavirus exposed. Well, first here, the chief medical officer steps down after getting caught ignoring own lockdown advice to visit second home. She didn't think she'd get caught, or he didn't. I think it's a woman. And, because they know there's nothing. They're in on it. And this last one here for today is expert COVID prediction of 50,000 hospitalizations in New York by April 1st has turned out to be 400% too high. Hype. Keep the fear going. You can really control the people better that way. It's called herd mentality. All right, and then the other day, I didn't share this last week because I didn't do a stream about this up until now, I was not even going to do this till Tuesday, but I figured I better do this today because I'm going to get the blog up tomorrow. But let me see if we got in here. Religious laws are coming, okay, because we know, like I said earlier, 700 pastors right there. 700 pastors in prayer called during a coronavirus outbreak. Let's see. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis defends deeming churches essential. Which is, just so as to give the talking point towards we got to keep God in all this, which I don't mind, but the fact of the matter is we know what the prophecies say, right? That's why I put this page up on my website. It's in the warning section. Religious laws are coming on the bottom. It's also in the prophecy section. And I have 2 videos on it, of course. But here, check this little blurb I found. It's a cartoon. It says, and now for a reading from the good book. And then the next thing he says, and it's obviously a Catholic priest. He says, and by good book, I mean our new political action voters guide. And so if you go down, you'll see there's quite a few articles that they're pushing all sorts of religious laws in every nation, but mostly the USA, because the mark is going to be enforced first in the USA, according to the prophecy. All right, so let me see where else we got here. Religious law, Trump, all this. And Florida Governor Breitbart, Joe Polak, the tennis Prager. Media should honor, not mock America's faith in time of crisis. So again, there's talking points, but that I agree with them 100%. But these guys do it. Breitbart, for example, is probably doing it in the most innocent way, like WorldNet Daily. Even though WorldNet Daily has a strange theological mindset, they still do their best. It's kind of like Jack Chick. He had a strange theological mindset, everything from 7-year trib, the secret rapture stuff, and eternal life in hell. But he had historic referencing that was unmatched. He got it dead on. I mean, literally. And yes, he died a few years ago. All right, now here's some of this hype to Rome's advantage. United Nations wants 10% global tax and wants it now. And for those of you that think I'm yanking your chain, all these articles exist. I don't put anything on this wall except for that video about you that I put up a minute ago. YouTube pulled it, so I can't. There's nothing I can do about that. But United Nations wants a 10% global tax. And they're probably going to get it because, I don't know, there's no prophecy on that, but it doesn't, I don't, care. It looks like they will get it. Israel starts surveilling virus carriers, sends 400 who were nearby to isolation. I can't remember what that article was about. Kentucky is putting ankle monitors on coronavirus patients who ignore self-isolation. I checked this one out. A perfect storm. U.S. facing hunger crisis as demand for food banks soars. And because the people, you got to stay in your house. You can't go. or the store shelves are empty, so you got to go to the food bank of the church. Now, here's the exposed section. And I'm not going to do this section down here because we did that last week. It says, the great CV-19 hoax. It's all faked. I can't remember who did this video. Let me see. Hopefully it's still online. And they haven't pulled it. Oh, let's see. I don't know. A planet for... A plain truth for you. Whatever. I don't know who that is. But what I like about it is this was... It was kind of late coming out, but we had some information on this before the video, but I wanted to use the video because he did a good job about it, where he showed when they were saying that there was all this stuff happening in New York City with all these people in the emergency rooms. It turns out that this picture you're seeing on the screen right there is not New York City, even though they said it was. They said it was a hospital in New York, but it was actually an Italian hospital, in Italy when they were doing that, whatever. And so they got caught there. A 104-year-old World War II veteran beats the coronavirus. Why? Because it's mostly a common cold. Lysol says it'll kill it, right? And Pennsylvania Planned Parenthood opened for abortion services, and only a 94-year-old veteran, again, survives the COVID. But they're telling you, oh, everybody's dropping like flies, when this is not the case. They got to keep the fear going so they can keep on rolling tanks and doing all this stuff, and the people won't be upset. And so it's going to get a lot worse in the coming days, obviously, but it's all going to calm down. And then if they got their ducks in a row, because I don't know, it seems to me like they should, or they would want to get the smaller cities to bow, because you go to some of the smaller cities, especially in Indiana, yeah, people are just doing everyday normal stuff, except they're doing that 6-foot social distancing. Some of them are running like you're on fire if you get near them. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people are believing this stuff. I can't believe it, how many people are, they trust what the media is saying. And the thing is, the same people that trust the media for all these lies that they're putting out there were the same people 2 months ago that say, you can't believe anything in the media because of all the lies that they did on Trump for 4 years, right? It's all fake news. It's all fake news. But now all of a sudden it's not fake news. Yeah, it certainly looks like Trump was pushed or pressured into making his comments. So let me knock some of these out of here. So let me see if there was something else I wanted to share. Let me see. Let's just check out some of the recent videos or blog entries I did. But again, it's nicholaspogm.blog. Well, let me just put it in the room here. nicholaspogm.blog. I always like to capitalize the B. Well, look at that. It capitalize the G. But yeah, that's it in the stream there. nicholaspogm.blog. That's the blog, But anyway, I'll probably be putting up either Wednesday night or Thursday night. We'll be coming back in here in the stream. But just out of curiosity, everybody got any questions? Let me get this off screen here. And there's an awful lot. There's so much I want to tell everybody and just tell you and warn you about and stuff like this. But man, where do you start and where do you end? I mean, it's just crazy how much is out there. But yeah, it's just nuts. This planet, it's just... I got to tell you, I just love this woman's handwriting here. That Hebrew thing. It's just so pretty when I see it go by. So, tell us more, please. Oh, okay. Well, I can go to some of the older blogs, if you want, you can check these out. As a matter of fact, I'll just put these out there for mention. I have to get back on my main site, though, to do it because it's in the frame. Because I don't think it'll, when you do straight blog, it has these weird pictures on the end. But let me do this. All right, so I have to stay in the blog to do this. Okay. Now, I did, most of you have already seen this video, and a lot of people got upset with me because I didn't put the state or where this person was and all this other stuff, and I didn't give the original location of the video. And I've told a few people, I says, look, I'm sorry, I didn't get this online. This video was sent to me as an MP4 in an email. So, and they didn't know where the person was from. And so I just put it online where this woman catches so-called COVID-19 hazmat suit wearing guys who are going into her building, condominium complex or apartment building, who knows, where they're putting flyers on everybody's doorstep telling them that the homeless man that usually lives in the doorway on the bottom floor died 2 hours ago. And so she finds out about it. She comes out with her cell phone. That's why the video is so weird shaped. And that's why I put all these graphics around the video. She's saying that they're lying, and she can prove it. She just fed the guy 5 minutes ago. She had been taking care of this man for some time. But then they took him away with the police, because they said he was sick. So, that guy's probably dead. They probably killed him off because he was homeless. That's another thing, too. This is a very easy way for them to get the homeless off the streets and to who knows where. This is like making a plane fall out of the sky and acting like they couldn't find it. All right, like they did, about 15 years ago? That one was headed towards Japan, I think it was. For all we know, they're in some kind of a FEMA center out in Afghanistan. Who knows? So anyway, global compliance. This is what it's all about. All right, hold on. Let me just see if there's an emergency going on here. Okay. Fox News. Okay, Brother Sean just sent me something here. He says, I'll take this time to inform you that Fox News New York asked people if stores should be shut down on Sunday. Oh, that's right. He did send me a picture on that. So they're already pushing the Sunday laws, or the religious laws, that fast. Me, Sister White did say it was going to happen real fast, didn't she? And they all call her a false prophet. Why? Well, all the same reason the Jews called Daniel a false prophet. They rewrite the Bibles, they rewrite the books, But anyway, it's all about global compliance, and that's what this blog entry is all about here. And then I updated it twice. Well, no, just once. That's right. I only did it once. And then this one here, Sunday laws. But this one here confused a lot of people, so I had to put a disclaimer to some sort on there. He was talking about the seventh-day Sabbath. But my point was, he's a governor talking about religious laws. And he did it on camera. I didn't do much. I didn't do anything in regards to a dissertation in regards to all of it. I just did an update twice, because when I first put it up, there were absolutely no articles. And then this one here, there's a reason they want you scared. Remember what either Hitler said it or one of his main men said, I can't move this one man who has religious morals. But if I put him in a crowd of scared people, piece of cake, I can move him then. It's called sheeple, or herd mentality. Look up sheeple in the dictionary. It actually is a defined word now, because there's so many out there now. People are believing this stuff, hook, line, and sinker. And then, let's see, I updated this one 2 times. You see, I can only count 2 times when the dates change, because the first one's always when I put the blog up. And then coronavirus hype, Georgia Guidestones, and the mark. If they can, they could actually use this, but there's no prophecy to dictate that they're going to be able to kill 7.5 billion people before Jesus gets back. He would have prophesied something to that effect. And this is why the Jesuits came up with a secret rapture and a preterist version of Antichrist, because they say the Great Tribulation is what's coming during the plagues. No, the Bible says that what happens during the plagues is the time of Jacob's trouble between plague 6 and 7. But what the Vatican says, no, that happens in the future. Everybody gets raptured off, and then they all come back. And no. The Great Tribulation that Jesus was spoken of, he even gave dates. He said after that period is over, the sun will not shine, the stars shall fall from heaven, there'll be a global earthquake, and the moon will appear as blood. All those things happened after the Roman Catholic Church stopped killing the Christians from the year 538 AD to 1798 AD, which is exactly 1,260 years that the Apostle John said twice in Revelation, and Daniel said once in his book. Exact dates they gave. But we don't do that anymore, because in Revelation it does say that the time shall be no more. We know what comes next. We just can't give dates now. That's the difference. And there's a good reason for that, because boy, are there a bunch of false prophets out there throwing dates around, which makes it easy. The minute they set a date, boom, guaranteed false prophet. And so that's that one there. And let me just see what this next one's about. Oh, well, then this is more or less when it ends. This was right before. I don't know if I did a thing on it before. That one I updated quite a few times. I just didn't have anything to report on, because I got sick and tired of all the corona, this, corona, that. And guillotine, check this out. This was back in February. A lesbian She was running for Senate, I think, or I don't know. Who cares? Her name is Bree Kidman. That's her campaign logo. A guillotine, of all things. And guillotines are written into Obamacare. And there's 30,000 guillotines on U.S. soil. I did a radio broadcast years before, many years before I started really pushing things online. And 3 people, so far as I know, as a matter of fact, it might be on my guillotine page, who have literally, government gone bad, guillotines in America. Let me just pop it out to a new page. This page here, I've had it up for, I think it's one of the first pages that were on the website. That's why I got that campy looking bleeding thing on there. But there's been a Truth Provided radio broadcast. Oh yeah, here's the July of 2004. This is an actual audio. It's in here somewhere. Okay, because I was on I'm still on Worldwide Truth. I'm still on WTPR. That's on my server. This was First Amendment Radio that I was on years ago, and that was AM and FM and internet. And so, but they started yanking my show in certain areas because of my content, and so I built WTPR server. And then I found that I was getting more listeners to my website on the WTPR than I was getting on First Amendment Radio. And I figured, well, why give them $200 a month? Or $250. So I'm out of here. And so I left that. But yeah, the guillotine, I don't know if I got a link down here in regards to somebody. There's a bunch of people made videos about that radio broadcast. I never did. And I figured, why bother since they made videos for me? But this is it, using my, okay, yeah, this could be it right here. Let me just see if this is the guy. It's just me talking. Oh, they pulled it. Account associated with this has been terminated. Okay, so they pulled it. That's annoying. I mean, Google has been censoring me, and so I guess they're going after they do go after an awful lot of people. But anyway, let's just go back in here in the blog and see if there's anything else. And then I'm going to get off here because it's getting late. It's 20 to 12 where I'm at. I'm on the east side. And then here, are you ready for the plagues? Look at this. This is being pumped into the water. And it's coming out blood red. And I did a video on this, and you wouldn't believe how many rivers are running blood red right now. No, the plague hasn't started, but the harbinger has. We already know how it's going to go down. As a matter of fact, on my 7 Last Plagues page on the website, let me go there real quick. I show, let's see, prophecy soon fulfilled, and go down to 7 Last Plagues. And then here, we know how every single solitary plague is going to hit already, because the Lord shows us in his word. And I just updated the one about the boils here. Some fishermen. And I was talking about this decades ago. But see this weird looking thing on the right? I don't know if you could see it. Oh, there. Yeah, now you can see my... that's called Pfisteria pacifica. It looks like an amoeba on steroids. It's got the little tendrils. What that thing does is and some scientists actually said it's an alien from another planet. Because they don't want to admit Bible prophecy. And so what this thing actually does is if a fish swims by and the fish is 1 pound, it shoots out a tendril, attaches itself to the fish, and reels it in. So if the fish weighs 1 pound, the fish will be dead in 1 hour. But before it dies, look at the picture on the left. Those are boils on the fish. And the boils seep toxic fluid that turns the water blood red. If the fish is 100 pounds, it'll take 100 hours to die about. And it'll seep all sorts of this toxic fluid into the water. But here I put this new article on here. My wife showed me this one. It was actually a video. Well, let me stop it. The headline is "Something's attacking these Carolina fishermen." They're going fishing and they're getting these boils. Because they're in the water. Because I like to go for walks in the woods. My midday prayer is usually in the woods. And in the back years ago, I would take my children out in the woods and stuff like that. We would just go for like what we would call journeys and stuff. And I used to do that when I was a teenager too. I would get into this one creek and I would walk all the way in the creek until I reached the canal, which was about a 2-mile walk with friends, and we would go fishing or whatever. And we would call those journeys. Well, I would take when I finally got older and I got married, I took my children on journeys, and there's been I think more than once. I know one for a fact, but we came upon some blood red water, but none of us got sick. Why? We have a hedge. See, that's the difference. Those fishermen did not have a hedge about them. And so when those plagues fall, if you get the boils, well, you're guaranteed damnation, because the only way to get the boils is to actually accept the mark of the beast. All right? And because it's plain in Revelation 14:12. I mean, if you read Revelation 14, verses 6 to 11, it talks about the people that get the mark of the beast and why. But if you read verse 12, it talks about the people that don't get it and why. It's because not only did they have the testimony of Jesus, they keep his law. They keep the Ten Commandments. And so the devil doesn't care if you believe in Jesus. And he doesn't care if you keep his commandments, or the Lord's commandments. Because the Jews keep the commandments, and he doesn't care. Keep the commandments all you want. And he tells the Christians, believe in Jesus all you want. It's when you mix the two together that really upsets Satan. And this is why we get the attacks and all this other stuff as Christians. Because if you keep the commandments and have faith in Jesus, you cannot get the mark of the beast. It's impossible. Because it is by their fruits you shall know them. And the only way they have the fruits of keeping the Ten Commandments is to have them written in your heart. And the only way they have them written in your heart is to actually have Jesus Christ as Savior. And then he promises to write the law within your heart. And for proof, just go to Mark of the Beast page. I go into pretty good detail. I explain. The Bible tells us that the forehead is where the mark received by God, because it's a decision. The frontal lobe of the brain is where you make decisions. And then the right hand is, in prophecy, defined as your ability to buy and sell, or forced against your will to not buy and sell. And so, but there's a long dissertation in regards to the mark, so that no one has any doubt in their mind as to what it really is. The Vatican even admits in writing that Sunday is their mark twice. Actually, they do it dozens and dozens of times, but twice they actually use the word mark when they were talking about it. But when you get to the bottom, let me scroll down a little faster. When you get to the bottom of this dissertation, look at that. I didn't make this up. I didn't draw that. It says here, one of my conservative base is really going to like a constitutional amendment requiring folks to attend church on Sundays. That's a couple decades old. See, they do a lot of stuff behind closed doors. And, let me just get this down and go down much faster. When you get down to the bottom, there's all the names. That equals 666. These are all the videos I have on it. This first video might be the one you want to take a look at if you've never heard about what the mark of the beast is. It's only 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes. It'll hopefully change your life, especially if you're a Christian that wants to obey your Lord. There's that video I made about, I'll give you $5,000 cash. I'll drain a credit card and everything if you can find one Bible verse. Not one person's ever been able to do it, because there is no such verse. It's kind of like a trick question. And since there is no verse, and you call yourself a follower of Christ, where's the problem here? Well, how does commandment number 4 start? There's only one prophecy, or there's only one commandment that has a prophecy in it. That's commandment number 4. And that prophecy is one word. It says, well, let me see if I could actually put this in the room. Let me see. Because I actually, see if I can get it to add source, web page, media, file, devices, text, screen capture. I don't think it'll let you put programs in. Screen capture, window capture, devices, text, web page, media. Scene, nope. Streams, nope. Find more sources. Oh, then you got to start paying for it. Yeah, no thanks. All right. Yeah, commandment number 4 starts with the word remember. Why? Well, look at what Daniel said. The beast will think to change times and laws. That's why not only did they change the Sabbath from the 7th day, but to the 1st day, they also changed the law of God. I used to teach Roman Catholicism 6 years ago. Commandment number 2 is not in their book. It's not there. And to make it look like there's still 10 commandments, they split commandment number 2 into commandment number 10 in 2 parts. Why isn't commandment number 2 there? Because that's the one that tells you cannot make graven images and then bow before them. What do Catholics do? Same thing pagans do. They bow in front of statues. Just like they did in the Old Testament with Chemosh. or the other idols of Pharaoh. He had a whole mess of them. The Vatican has a so-called saint for every day of the year, but it's a false god. That's all they are. So there's an awful lot of videos here, and the cashless society. You can't enforce the mark of the beast unless you have take the cash away, and I've got a page all about this, but I got videos about it too. The cashless page is you just go to Prophecy of Today because it's already happening. Now, where is it here? There it is, right down here, Cashless Society. I've had this up for quite a while. All right, and so hope and pray you're all blessed. Sure did have a lot of folks in here tonight, praise God. And so we'll probably do this again either Wednesday night or Thursday night. I don't know yet, but usually I'll try to do it around 10 or so, but we usually have, depending upon what we're doing going around here, because I like to do the study with the family before going to bed, before they retire for the evening, and so I stay up a little later because emails and all that stuff. So I usually, can't get to bed any earlier. So thank you all for stopping by. And I was going to say if you got any questions, but it's already 10 to 12 now, so it's getting up there. So I'm going to get going. So God bless you. Love you. Take care. We'll see you soon. Either Wednesday night or Thursday night, or even tomorrow night. Who knows? If something really crazy goes out there. All right, what's your question? I can't say your name because I have no clue what that is. But really quick, what's your question? Kaboom. God bless you. See y'all later, Sister Tracy. I'm going to see if I can't get this woman's question. Otherwise, you can email me your question, and I can use it on a Q&A Sabbath. Yeah, okay, there you go. Do that. Go to remedygod.org / no, just go to remedygod.org, and on the main menu, you'll see on the right, there's, here, let me just go in the room here. You just contact right there, where it says contact, and then click here to email me, and it'll bring you to a form that I built, which is secure. It's in the background. And, you just send me an email through there, and I'll get back to you, sister. Okie dokie. I can't reply to that last mail. Oh, yeah, or just do that. Yeah, there you go. Do it that. Yeah, just reply to the email because if I get back to you and it's not one of those bouncy emails, because a lot of times people will send me naughty things, let's say, and I'll either delete them, or if they got a question and I know they're wrong on it, I'm always the teacher, so I'm going to try and get back to them. You too, Sister Monica. You have a good night too. But if they're if there's something the Lord's moving them to share with them, I will respond, but I'll do it as a no reply, which means if they try to email me back, it'll bounce. I'll never see it. Okay, so then we'll talk then, sister, in the email. So if you already got the email address, I'm not going to say it out loud here because I'll get flooded. I'm tired of the email bombs. I used to get those all the time. And so take care, everybody. God bless. We shall see you as soon as possible. Take